Hey everyone, it's Urban Investor back with another video, and today I want to talk about NEO. Now NEO, things have been going a little quiet. I don't think there's been much happening in the news since August when it had that killer run. Since then we haven't really heard anything. It's also slipped outside the top 10 in terms of market cap. So is there resurgence in Jan? Let's have a look and find out. So with Neo, what I will do is give you guys a quick run through what Neo is about. I'm not going to go into any sort of deep knowledge like what the team's about, what the roadmap's like. However, what I would do is summarize the key sort of points of what, so that for those who are new can quickly summarize in an easy sort of manner what the project's about. Also, as well, Neo's been around since around 2014, so there are a whole host of good resources on YouTube and online. So let's jump straight into a quick summary before I go into my reasons in terms of why I think Neo is a good investment. So first of all, Neo is China's first decentralized open source crypto using blockchain tech. Initially it was called AntShares and it rebranded around August time, early August, and now it's called Neo. Now it's widely considered as the Chinese Ethereum, and essentially the reason for this is like Ethereum, it's aiming to build a platform where decentralized apps or applications can be built by letting users essentially execute smart contracts on their blockchain. So that's one of the sort of similarities, but unlike Ethereum, it's got a bit of a competitive advantage in the sense that with Neo contract, it basically allows programmers to use the common languages such as Java, C++, and whereas with Ethereum, programmers need to use Ethereum's language called Solidity. So I think this is a major plus point. It means that programmers do not need to learn a new language like Solidity and just basically can use existing sort of technical knowledge to develop on the platform. So that's a quick summary of what Neo is about in terms of it's basically an Ethereum competitor. So that's basically trying to utilize smart contracts, and by smart contracts what we're saying is being able to essentially exchange digital assets without having a middle person as we traditionally do. So that's the sort of product in a nutshell. As I said, there's loads of resources out there. Please do look at the white paper and the Neo website, which has a good sort of level of detail. So now let's move on to why I think you guys should invest. Clearly, this is my opinion, not official advice or financial advice. But in any case, let's jump straight into it and go through my core reasons. So first of all, for me, as I've said, is development language. It's got by far the most amount of languages available. It supports any other languages and any other sort of digital currency. It's, you know, as I said, Java, Python, C++, Go, just to name a few. I think this gives or enables more companies to take advantage of Neo's platform and integrate Neo's smart contracts into their systems. So I think the more developers make use of the platform, the higher its adoption rate and use by the general sort of public, which will drive demand and higher prices. So that's the first key point. The second thing, which is also important to note, is its platform is a lot more efficient. So whereas I think Ethereum, I think it's limited to around about 15 transactions a second, if my memory serves me right. Whereas Neo, it can support up to 10,000 transactions a second. So I think it's definitely one that's scalable in terms of systems. Also, as we know, it's a Chinese crypto. With China, it's got a strong home base. China is basically the second largest
economy, only second to the US, and that's, I think, another positive with a population of over a billion. I think with NEO, with the Chinese market, it could take it to even higher levels in the future. Also, with China's sort of economy growth rate, I think it can be a very lucrative market, and therefore, again, creating more demand and driving higher prices in the future. Um, but there's also obviously some risks that we need to be aware of, and as we'll see in the TA, we'll see a bit of a drop and sell-off in NEO back around about the end of August, early September, when China were closing or trying to ban ICOs and also closing a few sort of exchanges and preventing people from getting involved. So obviously, I think this gives a massive risk. We saw the price go down. However, I think on the flip side, when I did my research, it seems like one of the founders of NEO, Da Hongfei, hopefully I've pronounced that right, he's widely respected. He was working with the government officials when they were actually coming up with these bans, or temporary bans rather, and basically I think this shows his endorsement to the Chinese government and also of NEO. So that's a roundup of the project. Now let's quickly jump into TA to further sort of solidify this project and show potential entry points. Now let's have a look at the NEO TA. So we can see we had a massive run up in August, and from what I gather, a large chunk of this was just because of the rebranding, which is crazy. It just shows how much hype is in this market. Yes, NEO did announce a couple of deals. However, the bulk of this was when we had the rebrand from Ant Shares to NEO. So since then, there's been if I can get my pen out, we can see a pretty much normal correction, which is as expected when you have a massive run up. However, towards the end of August, we had a massive sell off as a result of the Chinese flooding. So this is when the Chinese government were trying to ban Chinese ICOs and close down exchanges. So there was a massive amount of fear in the market. However, since then, we've seen an attempt at a recovery. We did have a good run at the end of September. However, since then, it's been one direction when we compare to Bitcoin. So I think when we look at these candles, which are the daily candles, and compare it to the simple moving averages, in all aspects, it's sort of broken through. It's broken through the 21, 50, 100, and 200 day. So from a TA point of view, it's not looking great for NEO. However, we can see there's a level of support coming at the 250k sat mark. Now, for me, I think this would be a good entry point and test that level of support. So I think we're at 320k. We can hopefully see a bit more of a drop, another 20-30%. So I think I wouldn't personally get in at this point. This is just one that I'm watching, and I've got my buy orders ready around about the 250k sat mark. So assuming we hit that price, where would we sell? So again, I've got the fib tool here, but if I can get my pen out again, slightly different in the sense that I am almost like assuming it's going to drop a bit more. Obviously, with the Fibonacci retracement, you want to go from the high point to the low point, and currently the low point is here. So I think obviously we're not have not reached the 250k mark yet. However, I think hopefully we'll get there, given we've broken most of the simple moving average indicators. So let's assume we hit that mark. So what would be my recommended sell level? So as always, I'm going to sell 50% of my initial holding at the first level, and for NEO, I'm looking at the 50% retracement level, which is just below the big level to avoid institutional sell-off, so slightly below, which is at 790k sats. So why am I skipping the 38%? I think when you look at the chart back in August and again at the attempt at the end of September, we can see it's relatively is quite an exuberant and massive run. So when NEO does go on a bull run, it does really go significantly and has a big chunk of movement. So I think for me, I'm skipping the first mark in the hope that this continues and I can lock in a higher proportion of some gains. The second level I have is at the 61.8% retracement, or rather just slightly below, which is at 940k sat mark. Again, I think with this one we can see we've had quite a lot of sort of price movement and resistance previously, so I think that's going to be another sort of variable which I expect. However, I think I'm very long on NEO, so I'm happy to hold and hopefully at the next level, the 100% retracement, which is the 1.35, just below rather 1.35 sat mark, million sat mark. I think that's where I'm potentially hoping to sell my final portion of my portfolio. So just finally as well, because obviously we can't predict the future, I think if we do hit that 250k sat mark, if we do continue to fall through and we don't see the level of support as we would like, then I think I am going to set my stop loss at 20%, which is at the 200k sat mark.
So that is it for today's video. Before I let you guys go, I just want to say a big thank you. The channel has now hit 100 subs. Cue the cheesy applause. So thank you guys once again. I do really appreciate all the love and support. Please keep the subscriptions, likes and comments coming, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.